After yesterday's rather damp hike up Ben Reciple, I was based at the Reciple campsite, and I was really hoping for some better weather on today's long hike up the highest peak in Sunart. It's 5:30 in the morning. As you can probably hear, I've got the heater on. It's great. Probably don't even need it on, but it does make it nice and cosy. Makes it more difficult to get out of bed. Anyway, I'm up early and it's a long day today, and the weather's deteriorating as the day goes on, so I just wanted to get up early and get into the hill and try and get it done before the weather goes downhill. So, time to get up, get a coffee, and get cracked along with this hill. Right, let's go. Well, this was day 3 in the campervan, and one of the finest things about it was actually the ability to have such a nice leisurely start, being so close to the start of the hill, and have been able to have a coffee in the morning at the location was fantastic, and that's exactly what I did. Sat back, had some breakfast, some caffeine before getting ready and taking the short drive along the road. Although a short drive, it's a wee single track road, and it takes you along the side of Loch Sunart to Stronton and then up to the Ariundle Woodland where the walk begins. Anyway, I've now arrived at the big car park here. There is a big car park that I wouldn't have any issues about worrying about getting parked here. Lots of spaces and what have you. And the midge are out. I was swatting them off back at the campsite as well, but that's a good sign in terms of it's not windy. And the sun is actually shining as well, so fingers crossed it stays like that. The tops are in the cloud at the moment, but you never know, it might burn off, the cloud might burn off if it stays like this, which is unexpected. So yeah, time to get changed and get cracked on. This is quite a long walk, and it's to the highest point in this region, so it should be a good day. Let's get my stuff ready and let's get hiking. Oh, right. Oh. With the midge out, I didn't hang around the van too long and set about walking at a pretty brisk pace. One that the midges couldn't keep up with, that's for sure. And I was soon entering these wonderful ancient Oaklands of the Ariundle forest. It was going to be a good walk in. Wow, what a stunning morning. Makes up for yesterday's plod in the big puddle and rain up Ben Reciple. And this is wonderful. At the start of this walk, once again, is through this ancient forest, and there was a placard just a wee bit back stating that there's been a forest here since records began, and it really has that kind of ancient feel about it. It seems to sort of transport you back in time. And at this point here, I don't know if you can see me, there's a few pines, old Scotch pines, and that's what you initially think of when you talk about ancient forests in Scotland. But up until this point, it's all been this deciduous trees, really old oak trees and what have you, and they've got that kind of, the ground underneath them has been that mossy way. It's just like thousands of years worth of moss is gathered over time, and it really is worth the trip, just even for a short walk along here if you're wanting just a short hike. And photographers who like woodland photography, this I'm sure you'd find lots here. It's absolutely gorgeous. But I'm not here to look at trees. I'm here to head up a hill, and I think I'm about 1/20th of the way, and it's a long hike today, so I better shut up. It's nice to see some blue skies. Look at that, blue skies. Do you think it's going to last? I don't think it will, but hey ho. Right, enough waffling, let's get cracked on. So this ancient coastal oak woodland was originally part of the woodland that stretched all the way from Norway down to Portugal, and in more recent times, a couple of hundred years ago, it was influenced by man who used the woodland for charcoal and firing up the furnaces and iron furnaces down in Loch Etive, and closer by up in the lead mines they used the charcoal and the wood and coppiced the trees for these sort of things. But it was absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, I stopped and took some photographs. What a place it was. So after taking some photographs and enjoying the woodlands, it was time to get cracked on. And this path that goes through the woodlands, I reckon it must have been a track used back in the 18th century for those who were heading up to mine the lead mines in the area. And in fact, the town of Staunton was built in 1724 to provide homes for some 600 miners who worked in the mines. And the woods, as I mentioned before, provided timber for the pit props in the wood to make charcoal for the local lead smelters. I eventually reached this old rickety bridge which wouldn't have looked out of place in an Indiana Jones movie, and I reckon it must have dated back to about the 18th century as well. I did feel a bit apprehensive walking across it, if I was being perfectly honest with you, but I made it safely to the other side. Well, I've just come out of the forest and it just opens up at the top of the glen here. There's old shillings down there, and if I spin round, I was going to say you can see where I'm going, but you can't quite, it's in the cloud. Go up into that ridge and away up there, there's a couple of tops. It's just absolutely beautiful, and this mountain behind me here is looking rather inviting. I think that might be the Corbett that I might do tomorrow. I'll wait and see, but this is just lovely. It's very wild. As I said in a video recently, just to the north of here is Knoydar, and this has got that feel about it for sure. It just feels very, very remote, although we're not that far as the crow flies from Ballachulish and these sort of places. And it also has a kind of feel of an island about it. It's a bit of a peninsula, and most people come here via the Coran ferry, and it's just got that sort of bit more, adds a bit more to the trip. It's just beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I just hope that rain stays off. Anyway, let's get cracked on up here. Let's go. Up the path I went and out of the forest, and it wasn't long before I was reaching those old lead mines which had left their mark on the landscape. And I wondered how many lead miners had made that same journey up the path I'd just come up. Well, I've come a fair bit up the valley and see the forest away down over my shoulder there. And it's quite nice, it's not too bad. And at the point, these are ancient lead mines, well, ancient, old, long disused lead mines here, and I'm on the spoils. And at this point, you can turn off the path and you can see my ridge heading up there, and the first peak's just peeking out of the cloud there, so if it stays like that I'll be happy. But yeah, this is the point you turn off the path. The other path continues up this glen here and onto this other ridge, so it's the middle ridge I'm headed for. So I'm gonna crack on. It's a long way up, and yeah, I've got to come back down this way, but you know what? It's been beautiful so far, absolutely gorgeous. Up past the lead mines and you come to a little river, which today wasn't too bad, but it's worth noting that if you're up here and it's been heavy rain and the river's in spate, it might provide a bit of difficulty. A beautiful view from here though, right up there, right at the burn. Right, I need to get there. Oh, will I make it? Made it safely. Having made it across the burn, I was now onto the hillside, and it's really here where the proper hill walking begins. I've just stopped, I'm stood on this rock here. What a grand viewpoint, I can see right down the glen, up that way. And then down here, I'm just waiting for that rain shower to come and hit me. You can see Ben Recipol over there where I was yesterday. It's just past the snow shower, the rain shower. It's quite warm, it's pleasant, there's not much wind. Just enough of a slight breeze to keep the midges at bay up here, which is lovely. But what a viewpoint. There's Garven over there, it was peeking its head out just a wee while ago. But it's in a wee rain shower at the moment as well. It really is a wild and rugged area this, and yeah, I just wanted to come and explore it a bit more. I think I mentioned in a video a few weeks ago that it does hold a wee bit of significance for me. I'll maybe talk about it a bit further on actually, but I basically look over this region every time I'm at home, and there's a photograph I've got which holds a bit, yeah, it's very significant to me. So I'll talk about that at the top maybe, but right now, yeah, I'm just enjoying this. This rain's actually quite cool, and that view down there, let me spin round. Look at that, absolutely lovely. Right, a few photographs, and I'll crack on to the top. A few photographs were taken, but I had to get cracked on. This was quite a hike to the highest point in Adgour, and before long that rain shower eventually caught up with me, and it was time for me to get the waterproof red raincoat on. All waterproofed up, and I continued along this rocky little ridge, and there was lots of ups and downs and little lock-ins and what have you on the way to Sgurr Dhomhnuill. And that actually means Donald's Peak, and this area was owned or ruled many hundreds of years ago by the MacDonald clan, or the Lord of the Isles, and they named the highest point on their land Donald's Peak. There she is. You can just see her peeking out there, and that's the peak. I'm headed to the highest peak in this area, Sgurr Dhomhnuill. I'd be lying if I said I knew how to pronounce it. Anyway, we've got two choices here. There's a subsidiary peak just up here, which you can head up and over. But you know what? It's clagged in. Although this is clear, that's clagged in, and there's more showers coming in behind us. So I don't think I'm going to gain very much apart from even sorer legs by going up there. So there's a bypass path which takes you to the Bealach between them. So that's the way I'm going to go. And fingers crossed, if it stays clear, you know, I might actually get a view. But there are a few hefty showers kicking about. Anyway, I'm not going to get there by standing here and talking. So less talking, let's get walking. Well, I'm nearly there. This is the last pull to the summit now. You can see it looks pretty darn steep, and I think the way up it, there's a various sort of grassy rakes going up to either side of it. So I might go around to the right of it and then see if I can get a wee way up to the summit there. Maybe some good fun in the winter if it was in the right condition here. Nice crampon and ice axe slopes up to the summit, but. It does look quite steep here, and it's been quite wet, so wet, slippy, steep, grassy terrain. I'll just have to be careful. It's about another 100 metres of ascent, and I'll be there shortly, so one final push. So it was a final push up the last head wall of this Donald's Peak. And as I mentioned, this is the highest peak in Adgour and in the area. And although it's not a Munro, it does hold some significance, and it's the 17th highest relative peak in Britain and Ireland, and that's measured by topographic prominence and the independent height of the hills in comparison to their neighbours. Anyway, I was soon at the large summit cairn where, as sod's law would have it, the clag had come in. Well, there you go, that's a big cairn. Oh man. So, this is the summit of the highest point in Adgour. And it's quite a hard one summit, I tell you. It's a long walk in, beautiful walk in, don't get me wrong. And then it's a final steep pull up to the summit here, and there's this big massive cairn, which the camera's resting on at the moment. And it's a bit cloudy now, the clouds are actually coming and going. It's actually very atmospheric. I can see down ridges of mountains are appearing, and then the clouds moving in. And it's a bit monochrome. It's a bit grey. It wasn't too bad earlier on, but I suppose that brings me on quite nicely to one of the reasons I wanted to come and explore this area again. Is I've got a monochrome picture which I got blown up, and it came out, it's massive. I didn't expect it to be that big. I don't know whether I got my centimetres and inches mixed up or what have you. Anyway, when it arrived, my wife was like, "What the hell's that?" and opened up, and actually it looks great, and it hangs very nicely on the wall. and it's one of my favourite pictures that I've ever taken, and it looks from the mainland over to the Coolin Ridge, and that's what catches the eye. But if you actually look more into it, the foreground before the Coolin Ridge is basically this area here. It was taken with a zoom lens from the mainland, and a very clear. In fact, it was about a year ago. It was almost exactly a year ago, and it's got added poignance to me, that photo, because it was taken on a special trip, which I'm not going to go into today. But yeah, it's got special meaning. I think that really makes the photograph. I mean, I think it's a good photograph. Don't get me wrong, but anyway, I'll stick it up on the screen now. Actually, as I said, I've got that hanging on my wall, and I'll look at it. Yeah, sometimes gazing at it when there's crap on the telly, my eyes will be diverted from the telly. I'll just look at this picture and I'll look at the peaks, and I'm going to try to identify this one. I think it's in the picture. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling now. You'll be wondering where I'm going with this. I need to kind of head off now. It's a long way back. It's taken me about 3.5-4 hours to get here. I've taken my time. One of the advantages of having the camper van is I don't have to rush back down. So I'm going to head back down. Once I get off the steep part, it's quite a nice gentle walk back through that forest, which I'm looking forward to. So, yep, time to get back to the camper van. I headed back off the summit, and just the same way I'd come up was the same way I went back down, and I was back down along that long, rocky, knolly ridge. But it was lovely. The cloud was starting to lift off the summits by this point, and the views in all directions were really magnificent. And I was just really, really enjoying myself. What a fine walk back out. Having had a really enjoyable walk back through the forest, my delight was complete when I got back to the campsite and realised the forecast had got it completely wrong. That deteriorating forecast had actually turned into a glorious day, and I spent the evening sunbathing before retiring to the van for some final words. I'm back from my walk today up Sgurr Dhomhnuill. Sgurr Dhomhnuill. I can't pronounce it. Hold on a minute, let me just see if I can get the Walk Highlands page as a pronunciation. But let's see if I can find it.
Sgurr Dhomhnuill is Gaelic for Donald's Peak. Sgurr Dhomhnuill.
Okay, so I was up a mountain today, and I thought I'd do some wee post video thoughts on my hike and give you a few tips for it. Tip number one is do it. It was really nice. It was a lovely walk, absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Unlike a lot of the unlike a lot of the hikes I've done recently. Tip two: take enough time. And the reason I'm saying that is the start of the walk goes through some beautiful forest, really, really, really nice forest. And if I had had more time, I would have explored. There's lots of little branches going off the main path and what have you, and it looks like the forest is beautiful. It was beautiful going through the path I was on, but these wee small side tracks looked like they should have been explored, but I didn't have time. Tip three: if it's a rainy day and you don't fancy a mountain, go and explore the woodland. It really is worth it. It's not ancient Caledonian pines, it's an ancient deciduous oakland, and it really was spectacular. I was very impressed by it. Okay, tip three, what other tips can I give you? Tip three, leave plenty of time, because it's a long way. I think it's about 11 miles in total. It's a long walk in. it's not too bad actually. The very end of the walk, there's a good 200 or 300 meters, which is really steep. But apart from that, you're kind of going up this ridge after you come off the main path, and the path's faint, but there is a slight path there. It's fantastic. Tip we're running. Tip 4, maybe leave it for a good day. The views I had today were intermittent, but they were stunning. It was lovely looking over to the other peaks of Adgour and what have you, and down here towards Loch Sunner and then Resipol and all these sort of places. Absolutely beautiful. And tip 5, last and final tip. If there should be midges about, and you should have a drone, take your drone out. The drone gets rid of the midges, and it gets rid of them for a good, I say, once you take the drone down, 3 or 4 seconds before they come back and start attacking you. But it's a good deterrent. You can have the drone sitting above your head, and the downdraft creates a nice breeze that keeps the midge off. Tip 6, so I'm going to tip 6. Take some midge repellent if you're coming in summer. Tip 7, if you don't have midge repellent, just keep walking. Don't stop for any rhyme or reason, unless you want to be feasted on. I don't care if you're hungry and you want to drink or your feet are sore, keep walking. You'll get devoured if you don't. But in all seriousness, I can't say that word. To be serious, it's a really great walk. It's really worth coming here. And those of you who are have not been here because you're doing the Munros, just come and explore it. I mean, it's not a Munro, but it's a mighty fine mountain, and it certainly felt like one today. A really, really, really fine area. Right, I need to start planning for tomorrow's hike, which is going to a mountain not too far away from Sgurr Dhomhnuill. The next time you'll see me will be on the route to that. Until that point, stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.